Hi there, this is Bob Menzies coming to you from Vancouver Island, and we're going to talk today in this video about the songwriter life. Most specifically, I'd like to talk to you about kind of my project or my approach, I guess, to songwriting and how I do write them. And I know I've had questions over time from people in all sorts of ways, one of which is, the classic, what comes first, the lyrics or the music? And I suppose everybody's got a different answer to that question. So in this video, I hope to be able to shed some light at least on one man's process, and if it can help you out or at least be interesting to you, then I hope it will be. If we've never met before, my name is Bob Menzies, and we're here on Facebook Live, and I'm a singer-songwriter. I've been doing it for about the past 6 years. It's my passion. It's what gets me out of bed in the morning. I don't really tour that much. I play out at festivals, and I play at coffee shops here and then, but really the songwriting is my passion, and I do it a lot. I'm always kind of writing, and I think I've learned a few things along the way, and I also hope that maybe we can, this can spark something for you. I've made a few albums in Nashville and Toronto and Los Angeles, actually, and I get some airplay on Spotify and Apple Music. And I'd like to encourage you, if you're watching this, to hit the like button, or better still, comment and let me know where you are, even what you're doing. That would be really great. Now, so today I'd like to talk about a song that I've written recently. It's called "Keep Walking." It's an 8-bar blues song, and the way this song came about is I was jamming with some friends, and I don't usually do cover songs. Really, I'm like John Prine in that respect. I write my own songs because I don't do cover songs very well. But in any case, we started playing a song called "Key to the Highway" originally written by Big Bill Brunsey. It's a really old blues tune, and people like Eric Clapton and B.B. King have covered it. And so as we started playing, I thought to myself, geez, I'd like to maybe write a blues song in this 8-bar form. It might be fun. I'm always looking for new ways to approach a song or a different way. And, so, as many people have done, certainly, Bob Dylan talks about this, hearing a song that you like, and it rattles around in your brain for a while, and then eventually, you start to make it your own. The lyrics change, the tempo changes, everything changes, and pretty well unrecognizable from where the inspiration, originally came from and the form originally came from. So, I was walking down on the Spit. Whiffin Spit is near here. On one side of Whiffin Spit is the bay, and on the other side is the ocean. It's quite a nice place to walk along. And the tempo of the walking kind of gave me the idea. And then, eventually it kind of turned into this song. And the original song that I heard, I guess, or what Key to the Highway goes something like this. I got the key to the highway. I'm built out and bound to go. I'm gonna leave here running, 'cause walking is much too slow. I'm going back to the border. That's where I'm better known. You ain't done nothing but drove a good man from his home. So that's the Key to the Highway. Great song, and I wouldn't even pretend to write a song as timeless and lasting as that, and nor would I want to copy it. But in any case, that song is rattling around in my brain as kind of an idea. So the tempo that I got was sort of a walking tempo, and then here I was walking. So the song came to me, I'm walking, and I was really walking along a dusty part of the Spit. So the first part of the song that as it sort of started to come out was something like this. Walking down this dusty road, I'm 8 miles on from town, and my babe baby done just left me. I don't feel like being around. Well, she took my dusty old automobile. I made run like a top. I told her I still loved her, oh, but nothing would make her stop. So the song kind of started to tell a story about a fellow walking down this road and what was going on. Well, he's walking down this dusty road to get to town and get away from his house because his sweetheart has just left. Took the family car, probably took the family dog too. I don't know. So he's feeling a bit down, and I guess he's looking for a way to pick himself up. But here's where the chorus came in, and the chorus, of course, talks about walking. People walking, people walking. I'm walking down the road. I'm walking, yes, I'm walking. I'm trying to lose. There's a heavy road. And of course, the story goes on. He's thinking about what he's going to do when he gets to town. Well, I might look up crazy Johnny. I might give old Beth a call. I'm going to round up all the rounders. Get them down to the Steelworkers Hall. So, you know, the other thing is I tend to write lyrics kind of as they come to me. Once I get kind of the first verse, then it sort of flows from there. And, then, the question is, people always ask you, is a song autobiographical, or does it have to be an autobiography? And it doesn't have to be, but the reality is you draw from your own life. And, you think about things and you think about people you've known and met over time. And, obviously, Crazy Johnny comes up and Beth and all, and these folks. And, at one time I was with the Steelworkers Union. So that brought me down to the Steelworkers Hall. So it's kind of what he'd be doing there. And of course, what he wants to do is drink when he gets there. I'm gonna get me a little whiskey, get some more to wash it down. I'm gonna get me some bathtub gin, sleep out on the widow's lawn. And again, how much it's good in songs. They tell me to be concrete about certain things, but you're also metaphorical in some ways too. And the metaphor there, the widow's lawn, is really talking about a graveyard. Just thinking about stumbling into a graveyard. Now, nothing personal about that, of course. Well, maybe there is, but I'm sure some of you have done that in your misguided and misspent youth. But in any case, then it goes back to the chorus again, and keep walking, and moves on, and then finally we get to the last verse, and I tend to write a lot of songs in 3-verse kind of formats, and I don't know why. And to go back to John Prine again, who's one of my favorite songwriters. He once said, "Well, my songs pretty well all have 3 verses and 3 choruses," and he says, "But when I started writing songs, that's the way somebody told me the songs are written." So I just kept writing them that way. So maybe that's one thing, but I always look at more of a classical kind of not classical so much, but the storytelling way for a movie or whatever. You have an intro which establishes what's going on, and then you have a bit of the story moves on, and then you have a conclusion. So I find it usually takes me 3 verses. Now most modern songs, barely have 2 verses, never mind 3, and certainly not 4 or 5 or 6 or so, which I also write them. So I try not to, pin myself in too much. Again, if you're just joining here, my name is Bob Menzies, and I would encourage you to share or your video. In fact, why don't I share it right now to my own page, and yeah, there we go. I think it's on there. I'm not quite sure. A little bit new to this type of thing, or not so new this type of thing, but anyway, I'll figure that out later. So, then the song comes to an end, and talks about, now this hasn't been recorded yet, so you're not going to find it anywhere, but I'll give you an idea, and when it finally does get recorded, maybe you can look it up, or I'll put it online. And when I wake up Tomorrow morning, you bet I'm gonna walk real slow. I'm gonna let her perfume all wear off, so I can't smell that woman no more. And when I lay my head down on my pillow, oh, you bet I'm gonna dream about that gal. But if things don't change by tomorrow morning, I might not wake up at all. Till then I'll keep walking, keep walking, keep walking down the road. Keep walking, gonna lose that heavy load. So let me put Mr. Martin down here for a minute. And, you know, again, if you look at what our songs, especially, you know, outside of nothing, from modern songwriting, which started probably in the 1840s and 1850s, there's been more of that. And they've all really pretty well come. You know, we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. And I guess I always believe that I should try to be as original as possible. I still do. I really admire creativity and originality. And oh, hi, Brian. Thanks for joining here. It's great to see you. Great to hear from you. And Deborah Rawlings, it's nice to hear you too. And thanks for joining. So, you know, what happens is you build on what's come before you, and sometimes it's the whole song. And you know, Dylan went back to the old blues songs, not just to avoid copyright issues, of course, which are important, but just to get the soul and the feeling, and to be able to channel those people. And you have you know, James Taylor talks about he went to the old Protestant hymns to get his melodies, and you know, that's always really interesting. Now, you know, a really hardcore example is Randy Bachman, for instance, who wrote some great hits, and you know, is an amazing guitar player among other things. But he said he would study the hit parade, find a song you know, that was big, and you know, try to write a song like it. And he said he's quite open about it. He said, "No, you take the song, you know, change the lyrics, keep the melody, and then once you have new lyrics, then change the melody and use the same chords, then change the chords or change the key. You know, use a capo and go up and down the neck of your guitar, you know, which changes. You know, I use these kinds of capos because they're very easy to maneuver. They're called you know, Keyser or Kaiser. And so, you know, if you're playing a song in a key of G, for example, you know, you'd be playing it like this. Now, if you wanted to play that song in A, you could, of course, do it in other chords and go right to the key of A down here, or you could just continue to play in the key of G, 2 frets up, like that. Now, when you play a G, you're actually in A, and you can continue to use the same pattern that you're familiar with. So, you know, you might be familiar with. And then you can go up to a B or a B flat or a C, you know. So it's quite handy, especially for songwriting, because you don't, you know, I don't spend a lot of time on the technical parts of it. I'm really trying to get out a message and a story. That's just kind of my approach and what I like to do. In any case, a guy like Randy and the Bee Gees said the same thing, and you know, they would listen to what was going on. That's why, you know, it became so big in the disco area, because they were listening to these disco, Gloria Gaynor and so on, coming along, and they said, "Oh, I like that sound." And Barry Gibbs, such an amazing songwriter. I guess tunesmith is the word. He could make up melodies on the spot. He's pretty amazing about doing that. But all he did was set his guitar in open tuning. So he played open G a lot, which is also a way that Keith Richards plays. And to have an open tuning, what you do is you change the tunings of some of these strings, so that when you hit, now under normal tuning, the way this is, there's no chord there. This is a setup of, you know, your E, A, D, G, B, E, in ways that lend themselves to, you know, forming these chords like a G and a D and a C and so on, and a E. So what happens is when you do an open tuning like that, all you really have to do once you get into the open tuning is all you really do is bar chords all along the way, and that brings you up and down quite easily. You don't even really have to think about it. But again, like a lot of other people, the first person that showed Barry Gibbs how to play the guitar showed him open tunings, and he said, "Well, that's great. I'll use that," and he used it for his whole career. Leonard Cohen said the same kind of thing. The first person who showed him how to play a guitar played in the Spanish style, and he continued to play Spanish style his whole life. In fact, he said at one time, which was really interesting, he said, "I'm a one-trick pony, but that one trick I do very, very well." Um, and for a lot of people, that's probably true. I mean, one of my first early influences was Gordon Lightfoot. He's an amazing songwriter and influenced many people, Bob Dylan among them. And so, some of his style or his approach to songwriting probably influences me right now to a large degree. And because when I first picked up a songbook, it was probably him and Bob Dylan were the people that I just played the songs of. Neil Young was a little tricky with that voice of his to really imitate. Great songwriter though, that's for darn sure. So these are some ideas. These are some ideas and some of the ways that I approach it. I mean, I hope that you find this of some interest, and I'll you can leave me comments now or later, and just let me know maybe what you'd like to hear about, or certainly if you're writing songs and you'd like some comments on the stuff that you're doing, I'd be happy to answer you, and or certainly you can send me this, or you can send me an email. I'd be happy to talk to you on it. So just let me know in the comments, and that would be great. So I'm going to sign off now. Again, it's Bob Menzies here with the Songwriter Life, and I'll come back at you in a little while with a bit of an analysis on some songs that I've written and some comments on how those things go. So I'm going to say goodbye from Vancouver Island and wherever you are, especially those places that are experiencing a lot of snow right now back east and flooding in Oregon. I feel very much for you, and I hope that you get through it okay, because springtime always comes. So goodbye for now. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you next time.